During the Great War, China was divided into many warring provinces. In 227 BC, the Wei troops set out to conquer Liang, but they were ambushed on Mount Phoenix. As a result of a bloody battle, thousands of soldiers lost their lives. A cunning foot soldier of the Liang kingdom, pretending to be a corpse thanks to an arrow sticking out of him, looks around after the battle is over. He finds his leader and then confronts another survivor who turns out to be a general of the enemy army. The general of the kingdom of Wei defeated the enemy with the help of a banner, but became a prisoner of the resourceful infantrymen. Along the way, one of the soldiers of the enemy army attacks them, but the general personally takes his life as he is a traitor. Meanwhile, Prince Wen and his several subordinates, having learned of what happened, go in search of the general. The leader of the army, not wanting to become a prisoner of an enemy soldier, tries to end his life, but it turns out that he is holding a folding knife that cannot be used to injure himself. Toward evening, the infantrymen and the captured general stop for the night at a house they encountered on their way. At first it seemed empty, as there was no food or water, but it turned out not to be so. A young girl mistook the soldier for a general because of his uniform and offered dinner accompanied by her songs. As soon as the man turned away, she used the moment to slip powder into the wine. After treating both guests, the girl began to sing. But soon afterward, the infantryman and the general fell asleep, as the flask contained sleeping pills. Waking up early in the morning, an infantryman sees that the general is almost free and is about to grab his sword to attack him. Trying to be proactive, the soldier attacks his enemy. The enemy proves to be quite fast and agile, but the foot soldier manages to overpower him by accidentally pushing his head onto the sword stuck in the wood. Taking the general's head as proof that he had been his prisoner, the soldier set off for home. Upon arrival, he provided proof of his courage, but the men considered him a deserter. Instead of the promised reward, he was sentenced to execution because he was a coward and had simply stolen the general's head from the kingdom of Wei. Soon, the soldier wakes up and realizes that it was all a terrible dream. The general is in place and securely tied up, but the singer and the horse have disappeared. Not wanting to give up, the soldier decides to use the remaining cart to bring the general home alive and confirm that it was he who took him prisoner. Meanwhile, Prince Wen and Guard Wu continue to search for the missing general. The prince sincerely believes that the army leader is still alive, but the guard believes otherwise, realizing that the search is a fool's errand and a waste of time. Soon Wei and his men find the house where the foot soldier and the prisoner slept, discovering poisoned wine and a broken banner. Moving along the main road, the infantryman notices a horseman and hides in the bushes nearby. Realizing that it is dangerous to go, he decides to turn to the forest paths, where the chance of meeting enemies is much lower. Unfortunately for the soldier, he is stopped by a family of robbers who decide to steal food and money. Finding a captured general from an enemy kingdom in a cart, they beat him up, but the soldier stands up for the prisoner, trying to pass him off as his son. After stealing clothes and sacks but not taking the jade stone, the robbers leave. The general uses the opportune moment to attack the soldier and try to strangle him. He almost succeeded, but an aggressive bear appeared nearby that could have taken the lives of both of them. Trying not to draw attention to themselves, the men decided not to move and gave the beast the rest of their food, after which it ran back into the forest. Immediately afterward, the fight continued, but the soldier easily disarmed his opponent by applying pressure to the general's open wound. Having lost the cart as well, the infantryman continues on to the Liang kingdom, dragging the wounded prisoner on his back. At one point, they notice the Wei army under the prince's command approaching and hide near a waterfall. The prince also drives one of the robbers' family members here, taking his life after interrogating him. The general realizes that even his army wants to get rid of him and is afraid to disappear without a trace in history. Meanwhile, the prince's army meets a local tribe of savages on its way and gives way, not wanting to engage in a bloody battle. The general and the foot soldier wander through the forest, trying to get food to survive and return home. Soon there is another conflict between the men, as the leader of the enemy army considers himself strong enough. The infantryman decides to prove that he is not a weakling and offers a fight on sticks, but he loses it miserably, only confirming the assumptions of the wounded prisoner. At some point, the confrontation between the men ends, as they see a field where another battle between neighboring kingdoms begin, guaranteeing colossal losses among the soldiers. A little later, A soldier catches a rabbit but lets her go because she is pregnant. After setting a trap, he decides to get a horse, but the rider turns out to be a warrior from his kingdom. While the foot soldier decides to assist him, the general uses the moment to escape. While trying to catch up with him, the foot soldier spots the prince and his army trying to hide in a tree. He and the messenger end up being captured by a Wu guard. The soldier reveals that the general was his captive and tries to defend himself. Realizing that he is of value to him, the prince takes the messenger's life, but the foot soldier uses this to escape by faking an arrow hitting him in the chest. The army sets off after the fugitive, but he hides behind a group of a local tribe, allowing him to break away from his pursuers. The general gets to the top of the mountain and, after putting his exhausted horse out of its misery, stays near the magic tree, where he declares his steadfastness and strength. In the morning, the foot soldier meets the singer by chance and is not angry at her for poisoning him. Instead of trying to take revenge, he gives the girl a map, thanks to which she can find the magic tree and solve her problems. Remaining a real person, the soldier waters the flower and takes care of the little chick, despite the fact that he can stay in the middle of the field forever due to the lack of food and water. The inhabitants of the local tribe tracked down the exhausted general and attacked him. The man tried to fight back and fight honorably, but still got captured. A soldier noticed the tribe approaching and tried to escape, but ended up becoming their prisoner as well. As it turns out, the tribe captures single men, then pairs them up and turns them into their slaves to be used on construction sites. On their way to work, the tribe leading the captives encounters the army of the Prince of the Kingdom of Wei once again. The guard is ready to give way and pass them by, but Wen notices his subordinate among the captives and becomes convinced that he is indeed still alive. The foot soldier realizes they are in a difficult situation and beats the horse with a stick to create chaos. While there is conflict between the tribe and the prince's army, the general and the soldier escape. They manage to break the stick to free their hands, while Guard Wu and his subordinates fight the locals. The bloody battle takes many casualties both on one side and the other. The prince actively participates in all this, using his crossbow and taking the lives of several opponents. At one point, Wu's guardian comes face to face with the general. He wants to take his life so that the prince, who is the general's brother, can become the king's only son and take his place on the throne. The foot soldier escapes, while the general and the guard engage in a fight from which only one will emerge alive. The wounded general seems to have no chance, but the foot soldier returns riding a buffalo and takes down Wu, protecting his prisoner. Meanwhile, the prince takes the life of the tribe leader's girlfriend, which promises him a blood feud on his part. The foot soldier and the general have another argument, as a result of which they fall off a cliff and end up in a deep cave. Coming to his senses, the wounded captive tells that the guard wants to take his life, and the prince is his own brother, dreaming of a place on the throne. The general does not want to disappear and promises not to attack neighboring kingdoms if he manages to survive and become king of the Wei lands. In the morning, the general and the foot soldier find their way out of the cave, realizing that the path to the soldier's home is smaller than originally thought. Soon the two of them are found by a prince and a guard who have arrived to finish the story. The prince could have shot his brother with a crossbow and taken his life, but has no intention of doing so. The guard incites the brothers, provoking them to a fight, as one of them must take a place on the throne, and only a fair fight can decide the fate of the state. The conflict is interrupted by the appearance of men from a hostile tribe who have come to take revenge. They want the prince, but Wu does not allow the savages to approach his master. He defends himself in every possible way and prevents the tribe's representatives trying to save the prince from an imminent end. Aggressive savages mistake the soldier and the general for their aides, so they attack them as well. While the leader of the Wei Kingdom army fights with dignity, a foot soldier from the Liang Kingdom decides to flee. Several savages pursue the soldier and use hunting-throwing weapons in the form of stones on ropes to capture him. Entangled in their legs, the foot soldier uses the stones for defense. Meticulously throwing them at his opponents, he forces them to retreat and returns to the battlefield. Wu loses his life, and the prince realizes that the savages only want him. Determined to end the feud and save his brother's life, Wen is pierced through the heart by his own arrow, falling into an eternal sleep. Realizing that revenge is complete, the savages leave, leaving the general and the foot soldier alone. After the funeral, they travel by boat, discussing plans for the future. The soldier negotiates a non-aggression agreement with the enemy on his lands, but still wants to surrender him to his leader. Upon arrival in the kingdom of Liang, the foot soldier changes his mind and releases the general, allowing him to return home. After raising the banner, the soldier returns home, but learns that their lands have been taken over by the third kingdom, and he is the only survivor. They order the banner to be lowered, but the soldier maintains his dignity and decides not to retreat. His enemies shoot him with a bow, causing the foot soldier to fall into eternal sleep, but he remains lying with the banner held high. A short while later, the kingdom of Wei was also captured, and the general never fought again. Thank you for watching. Please support us, like and subscribe. See you.